guys, welcome back to the channel. Summer is in full swing here in Indiana. If you saw my short yesterday, you know I started with a super minimal setup, $115 total for that first triathlon. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the upgrades I've made over the last year, what I think you can still skimp on, and what's made the most profound difference in my performance. And then I'm going to round out the video with a little wish list of my own, because in this sport you can always continue upgrading. When I did my first triathlon, the first thing I bought was the swimsuit and goggles. My background is in swimming, swam as a little kid all the way up through high school, have kind of stuck with it throughout the years, and so that's where I started. It makes a lot of sense to start where you're most comfortable. I will say though, where I was most uncomfortable was the run, and it was actually a half Ironman that brought me to this sport. It showed me that I was able to, grow and get better at a discipline that I was very weak in, and maybe be able to put this whole thing together and succeed in the sport of triathlon. So in that first triathlon, I really saw my strengths and my weaknesses shine through, and that was the combination of those two things was actually what made the experience so enjoyable, rewarding, and like wanting me to come back, because I was in the water passing everybody and I was like, this is fun, I'm kicking some serious butt. And then we get out, hop on the bike, everyone I just passed is flying by me, and I was like, okay, so there's some room for improvement. In that first triathlon, the reason everybody was blowing by me on the bike is I had this bike, and if you look at it, cross handlebars, you could throw a basket on that bad boy and be just fine. But I ended up training on that bike, I ended up racing on that bike, and I did it all in my running shoes. The running shoes, however, are an area I don't recommend you skimp on. I, in particular, am super injury prone from the knee down, broken foot, stress fracture, have rolled my ankles just countless times. So that is an area where I went to a running store, I had someone fit me, I got the requisite orthotics, and it's made running a much more enjoyable experience. Since that point, I come home from a run and I'm not aching. I wake up the next day and I'm able to go on a run again. That was not the case when I wasn't paying attention to the shoes I was putting on my feet. As you can see, my setup for that first triathlon was not a flashy one. It's about getting out there and getting after it. It doesn't have to look pretty. It's just about going and doing it, because once you're out there, the feeling is addictive. It doesn't matter what discipline you're in that you thrive at or that you don't thrive at and you want to get better at, the whole experience is what brings you back next time. And this video is about starting at that point and then showing you, as I've decided that this is a sport I want to continue in, how to make those incremental upgrades throughout the journey. Moving on to the upgrades, it's been about a year since I did my first triathlon, and during that first triathlon, I'm telling you, I got out of the water in the swim and was like, I like this sport. I liked it a little bit less when I got to the run, but I knew that I was gonna stick with it. So I was on the bike, these people are flying by me, and I was like, okay, bike is probably the #1 area of improvement for me. So we'll start with the bike, and then I think the second biggest thing that has changed the game for me is this Garmin watch. I got the Forerunner 955, and I'll circle back and tell you why I think it's so great later on in the video. For the bike, I opted to get a road bike, and I did this for two reasons. The first, I like cycling. I go out with friends cycling. I find the bike to be a little bit more versatile. If you're in a group with people, the tri-bikes are a bit of a rocket ship. You're in the hunched over position trying to go 26 miles an hour. And if you're with a bunch of cyclists, which are, your typical groups you're gonna find, they're all on road bikes. The second big one was the cost. I don't know if you've looked at tri-bikes, but they're thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars. I will say, however, now that I'm in the sport, I'm like starting to look at these tri bikes, and maybe, hopefully, by the next time I'm filming this a year from now, I'll be on one of those tri bikes. And the reason is they actually trigger a different muscle than a road bike does. So tri bikes are designed to trigger a different muscle in your leg so that when you hop off the tri bike, you're able to run easier. Like the muscle that's activated while you're on the bike is different than the muscles activated on the run. So I think the midway point for me is going to be getting aero bars on my road bike, just because I want to keep the road bike and I don't want to splurge just yet on the tri bike. I think I can get away on the 70.3 with a road bike. I'm gonna put the aero bars on within the next couple weeks and give it a try, see if I like it. But I'm still probably going to do the race on that road bike. I got it secondhand for $650. Much more in my price range than a tri bike. The upgrade that came with the new road bike was clip-in pedals. That was a big adjustment for me, going from that cross handlebar bike in my running shoes to the clip-ins. It's went surprisingly fast, but the cool thing about the clip-in pedals is that when you're in running shoes, you are only getting energy when you're pushing down. When you're clipped in, you're also getting that energy on the way up. So it's like a pull and a push. You're getting it all the way around the cycle, whereas obviously if you lifted your foot with a running shoe on the way up, the pedal's not coming with it. It may with the force that's already being created, but you're not actually pulling it. The helmet I have is the same helmet I bought when I first started this. It was $20 on Amazon. It's Bell. I couldn't recommend it enough. I mean, you can go spend more, but the helmet's going to be on the high end, $60. Cycling shorts, very important upgrade. When you switch to the road bike or a tri bike, the saddles suddenly become much less comfortable and your rides get much longer as you continue in this sport. So definitely recommend a pair of cycling shorts just for your cycling training sessions. Next would be cycling socks. So the socks for cycling, I find to also be my favorite socks for running. So those are double purpose. And I know you see everyone in the triathlon videos doing their transition, getting into their clip-in shoes barefoot. I just throw my socks on, and then when I'm done with the ride, I just slip my shoes on and I already have my socks on. I like running in the cycling socks anyways. So those, double purpose. Again, they're good for transition, and number two, I wear them when I run, even if it's just a run day. Another huge game changer was the Wahoo Kickr Snap and Zwift. So the Kickr Snap is a discontinued Wahoo, but they still sell it on Amazon. You can't get it in most of your retail bike stores. I got mine for like $250 on Amazon within 2 days, and this thing allowed me to cycle all through winter. It's actually like an enjoyable cycling experience. Now, I'm not super into like following Zwift, but I'll have Zwift on my cycling like clip-in. I have something for my cell phone, another good purchase in case you're like on a cycle and you want to have your directions. But I'll have Zwift playing down here, and I'll have the TV up here watching golf, or Luke Hopkins, shout out. And it gets me through my ride, and I'm staying fit during the winter, cycling fit. Shifting to running shoes, as I said previously, not an area to skimp. I went all out. Go to your running store, have the professional. They have like these gate areas where they sit and watch you do some running with your shoes off, so that they can see the way your ankles bend, the way your feet hit the ground, all of those things, and then they put that together, that information together, and get you a shoe that matches you. Now, on top of that, they may upcharge you, but it's worth the money. Like, being sold to in that circumstance is worth the money, because I have been put into an orthotic and a shoe that's made for people that pronate like I do. It's changed the game for me. No more injuries. Running is more enjoyable. I can't recommend it enough. Taking care of my feet has become a hobby, which leads me to my next thing, which is toe spacers. May sound weird, but having your toes cramped in those shoes all day, obviously spreading them out can't be bad for them. And there's also some scientific research that shows that they help with bunions. So I think I got my running shoes for about $250, and that was including the orthotics. I did, however, have a little bit of a discount from the running club that I'm in here in Fishers, Indiana. Fishers Run Club, great club. If you're nearby, definitely check it out. But they have discounts for all of these running stores around where I live. So honestly, the run club membership, which I think was $50, paid for itself in that trip. It's also a great way to meet new people and learn a lot. Like, I've learned so much about running from the people in that club. I don't have a background in running, and people are so knowledgeable. Like, I am in a club with a bunch of running geeks. I'm a swimming geek, but it's nice to have those separate discipline clubs with people that are very into that particular discipline, because you can learn a lot from them. Next for the run is the running belt. I hadn't used one until the sprint triathlon that I just did like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Again, game changer. Every triathlon I had done up until then, I was like fighting the urge to take my shirt off, because you have to have the bib on your shirt. And so I'm a tarps off guy. Having the running belt was a huge change. You can also slip some gels in there, which is, a nice feature, but definitely something to look at if you enjoy, getting that fresh breeze while you're on a 3-6 or potential half marathon. Wearables is probably the next big category. Again, I have the Garmin Forerunner 955. I got it just as the 965 was coming out, and Amazon put a huge deal, $350. Got it in 2 days, and this has been the biggest game changer for me. Like I said, I've been making incremental changes. This one was a huge leap for me. I started paying attention to my heart rate. As you know, my heart is a concern with the family health concerns I mentioned in my intro video. My dad's had 2 heart attacks already, image of health. But this helped me start focusing on my heart rate. And I noticed when running, I had a skyrocketing heart rate, which I don't know if you know this, they say 80-20, zone 2, 80%, 20% in your threshold and higher running. But this unlocked that zone 2. I was going on very slow runs. They felt zone 2 in terms of pace, but they weren't zone 2 in terms of heart rate. So that allowed me to employ the run walk, and now I know where my heart rate is, and it started triggering like a feeling in me. So now I know when I'm running, I'm able to feel when I'm starting to push a little bit higher, and I can back off my pace or increase my pace when I'm looking to get into those higher threshold zones. Another huge factor, this monitors your sleep. Another big thing it does is obviously all of your disciplines. So when I'm in the pool, it's waterproof, calculates your 100 time and your splits, keeps a running total of all the yards you've done, and then obviously all the data like your heart rate, your strokes, that sort of thing. For the bike, speed, distance, time on the bike, and then it does lap times every 5 miles, switches over the laps so that you can keep a track of your smaller incremental rides. And then again, heart rate is the big one. And then moving to the run, this thing does cadence, it does running power, It does heart rate, the big one for me, and it will actually plan runs for you. So every morning when you wake up, it'll tell you, occasionally if you had a bad sleep and a hard exercise the day before, it'll say today's a rest day, or it will tell you today's a threshold run day. And when you activate the threshold run, it has like a meter, and it will tell you in that meter what your pace is, and if you're going too slow, it'll beep and say, you know, you need to pick it up a little bit, or if you're going too fast, it'll beep at you and say, you know, bring it down a notch. And it sounds annoying at the start, but the nice thing it does is it helps teach you pacing. So your body starts to learn what pace you're running at because it's beeping at you when you're not in that range. So it reinforces where you're at pace-wise without having to, you know, monitor your watch as you're running to keep track of it. Expanding on the heart thing, great new upgrade from my wife for Father's Day. Shout out, Jess, I love you. She got me a heart rate monitor. Again, big concern of mine. But I have the Polar heart rate monitor, and it paired seamlessly with the Garmin Watch. It just pops up as a external heart rate monitor, and now when I start a run, it just says, I'll put the heart rate monitor on. You don't even have to turn it on. I just put it on, and it says external heart rate monitor connected, and then this, which has EKG, starts monitoring my heart rate and broadcasts it to my watch. So I get the EKG based heart rate on my watch. It's fantastic integration. Definitely recommend that if you're looking for the most accurate heart rate data. On the same track of data, Strava, you gotta get it. It's great for the community. I have found that it's actually like when I'm in the gym or in the pool and I end up meeting someone, it's a great way to connect to these people and carry on and build a relationship. And it's just started raining on me. But the Strava is free, but if you go into the premium, it expands the data that you get from Strava, and it also uses AI to help break down and explain the data to you. So the big increase there is like cadence. Your heart rate data is very clearly shown. It basically gives you a cohesive package for every single exercise activity that you've done. Definitely recommend getting Strava or some sort of exercise tracking software that will help you look at and review this data. And the nice thing about Strava too is it integrates with Garmin. So I will finish my run, click stop, and it will upload all of that into Strava automatically. On the same track, yesterday I did something called an InBody scan. It's free through my gym, but I looked it up, and you can actually, they have a locator, which I'll post down in the comments, for InBody scanners. And you just go, you hold these little bars, and it takes all this information about you and then lets you dive into it. So for example, you know, it gives you visceral fat, it gives you your body fat percentage, it gives you weight, it gives you broken down by limb. Huge improvement for me. Both of my legs gained a ½ pound, which is good news. I'm typically a chicken leg guy, so this triathlon thing's clearly working. But it's definitely something you should look into, just because it, again, like the rest of your body of data, it helps you track your improvement. So taking care of those chicken legs, a family member had an extra knockoff Theragun, and I've started using that. It is fantastic for taking care of your body. I dislocated my shoulder in the winter. Another big reason I got into this sport. It made me start thinking about taking care of my body in different ways. But the Theragun helped with that injury. It helps with soreness now as I train. Best for the legs. I still haven't been able to go hard on the calves yet. It's working up to it, but definitely a big thing for your recovery. Some other miscellaneous things: sunglasses, gotta have them. You don't need the expensive ones, but I went for some stunner shades. You can also go the hat route, but I've found shades are, you put them on, like Justin Jefferson says, and the alter ego comes with it. Squirter bottles, necessary for the bike, but I found they're also great for, I do G1M in the morning, 20 grams of carbs, 375 milligrams of sodium. Great for getting that into you quickly in the morning. I'm not a fasting exercise guy. That drink is like perfect for me, and a cup of coffee, but those squirter bottles are a necessity if you're going to be doing cycling. I'm not a huge carrying water with me while I run guy. Thankfully, my run club, another reason to join, does stations for our long runs on Saturdays, but definitely need the squirter bottle for the bike, and then just hydration pre and post. For the wish list, I hate to admit it is growing longer by the day, but on the bike I've got to get a power meter. Again, I am a data nerd. Looking at the watts and speed is important to me, just because when you have those benchmarks, you're able to actively see yourself improving. This cycle was 160 watts. The one after it was 162 watts. That is what keeps you coming back to the sport. It's a win for you. It doesn't matter if Tade is doing 240 watts, you just increased your personal best, and that's why I think the data is so important. Another thing for the bike, I want to get aero bars, like I said. I'm not sure that's a must, but something I want to try out for sure. Definitely need a wetsuit down the road. Probably not going to need it for Cozumel. It's going to be so hot. I'm going to stick with the jammers, but maybe next year look at it. And finally, like I said, stunner shades. I want to get a pair of Oakley eye jackets. They're making a huge push right now in ultra runners. I just think they're so sweet. If you look back at 90s MJ, he was wearing the eye jackets. They've made their comeback. I want to get a pair for running. So that kind of concludes the upgrades that I've made to my gear. But if I were going back and it was, training before that first Ironman, I would say do exactly what you're doing. $115 is fine for that first triathlon. You don't need any of the upgrades I just talked about. Just get there, get it done, and you will see what you need for you to improve. Start small and make upgrades that keep you motivated. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you need more triathlon tips, or you want to watch my honest take on this journey to the 70.3, please like or subscribe, and drop in the comments the gear that you think or are evaluating getting to up your game in triathlon. Thanks for watching.